Okay, stand by everyone, starting now.
The other one was the key job in case of state stomach. Yes.
175 for three for the Delhi Capitals. What kind of score is that? Let's find out on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. And let's ask Sanjay Manjrekar and Ian Bishop what they made of that first inning score. Sanjay, let me go to you first. 175. Who's the happier dugout at halftime?
Delhi would have expected a little more considering the start that Shaw gave them. I thought Shreyas Iyer slowed things down a little bit, maybe tactical error not to send somebody like Stoinis in because the spinners were done by the time Iyer came in. And we've seen Iyer being really good against spinners. So once the spinners were done, with not too many overs left, Stoinis would have been a better batsman to come into bat. But to answer your question, 175, add another 10, 15 runs to that because this outfield is quite big and a little slow as well.
It seems like the kind of score which would be great to see after the end of the game, whether we should ideally have spoken or whether Delhi could have gotten more or whether they've done well to get to 175 bish. Sanjay immediately points out to the time that Shreyas Iyer came in, and that's the kind of innings that could come under scrutiny depending on how the result goes. What did you make of that first innings?
Yeah, I think well, the way that you phrased the question to Sanjay, I think his answer was appropriate, RK, because you asked if they maximized this total. So regardless of what the outcome of the match is, Delhi will confess to the fact that 88 at the halfway mark, they would have been pressing for something around that 180, 185 at least mark. So they'll feel that they left a few runs out there, but it still is a good score on the board that they can work with. So we will see how effective it is at the end of the game. But certainly they'll feel, if you ask Shreyas Iyer, he will tell you, with the resources we had left inside, Stoinis not batting a lot, Shimron Hetmar still sitting there, they would feel that they should have been able to press further.
I'm always curious to break innings down, Sanjay, and see where momentum shifted. Delhi took a different approach than the last game. The first 6 overs, the 36 without loss, you could see a little more cautious, slightly more cautious approach. The next 4, they break through. So, funny enough, after the power play, they've got 52 of 4 overs. And Prithvi Shaw has then played a brilliant innings. You then get to the 13th over at 103 for 2. You'd think with 7 overs to go now, you're looking at a score of around 190 to 100. And is that the crucial point of this innings? Who they send in at that point?
See, I don't think it was all designed in the way that it all panned out. Shaw and Dhawan started off. Dhawan didn't get runs in the last game, so he was a little cautious. And I thought Shaw played a brilliant innings. So let's focus on the positives just for a little while. I thought that innings that Shaw played, the driving on the up with the swing was brilliant. So Dhawan thought, okay, the younger partner is taking care of the run rate, so I'll take my time to get in. And he did well against Jadeja, got a few runs in. But once the overs were consumed and the spinners were done, both Chawla and Jadeja were finished, Stoinis should have been the man in. And you never know. He could have got out as well. But that pitch, the bowling attack that was supposed to come, just ideal for Stoinis to sort of just carry his form for the last game. So tactical errors, hopefully it shouldn't cost Delhi too much. But those were more tactical errors and how things panned out in the end. Rishabh Pant tried his best. He wasn't getting every ball, out of the ground, but he did his best. But a year's innings and his, going at the time might be something they'll talk about if they don't go on to win the game and find that the score in the end wasn't enough.
All right, fair enough. Let's talk about the positives. Like Sanjay said, Prithvi Shaw is a special player. We know that, Bish. You've seen a lot of young players. Something stands out about Prithvi Shaw. I want to know what you find. What is that thing for you? 64 of 43 today. What stands out about Prithvi Shaw when he gets going for you?
Great hands through the ball. The footwork isn't always perfection, but he's just got great hand-eye coordination. And for me, I was just sitting with a couple of my colleagues who worked on under-19 World Cups in the past, and we find it such a pleasure that you see these guys like Prithvi, like Shubman Gill, etc. at under-19 cricket, whether it's 2 World Cups ago or 3 World Cups ago, and to see them develop into what they're becoming now is like having your own son or daughter and watching them grow. So, no, seriously, it's just
Yeah.
great hand-eye coordination. But for me, more importantly, is what goes on upstairs. You saw the shot, Sanjay. You commented on the shot in the first game. Tonight, there was more managing of the risk, which I think is a good principle that will stand in good stead going forward.
Rona, can I take that point a
Please,
little
please, Sanjay.
further, deeper? Because I was really excited with the way Shaw was batting. Now, what stands out for me with Shaw is, yes, Bish is right, the footwork isn't the greatest, but head position, pretty good. The drives that he played on the up were with the swing. That is very interesting. That he was opening his face, so he knows the ball is swinging. He's watching the swing. Even on the onside, when he played the shots, it were with the swing. So he plays the ball a little late. I'm not comparing him to Sehwag. I say that again. I'm not comparing him to Virendra Sehwag, but his batting style is a lot like Virendra Sehwag. Sehwag allowed the ball to come to him. Prithvi Shaw does the same. I think he's got the gift of hitting the ball crisply. He played Piyush Chawla superbly. For a little man, the shot that he played against Hazelwood, which was almost a catch, I mean, that shot had a lot of audacity about him. So that is what makes him special. The only tip that I would like to give him, don't look to hit the ball too much in the air, because when he does that, he doesn't seem to have the power that Rishabh Pant has. So when he hits the ball in the air, he has to really time it well for it to go for a six. And the other thing is, even without hitting sixes, this is a guy, because he has got such great boundary for hitting ability, he can get 12 runs and over. Finally, I think his greatest strength is also that every time he hits the ball, it's in the gap. Even deep, if you saw against Chawla, he was looking to hit to the right of the fielder. So this is a guy who's got some special talent. Time will tell us, what he makes of that. So he's got most things going, but in the end, batting is not just about these kind of skills.
Yeah, even though Sanjay prefaced it, Bish, by saying he's not comparing it to Virendra Sehwag, you can see the resemblance.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that viewers and consumers always misinterpret when we as ex-players say things like that. You're thinking, should I compare Haider Ali to Babar Azam? We're not making that comparison. It's a stylistic comparison, because these young kids would have looked at a Sehwag, a Tendulkar, a Babar Azam and said, some of these things I want to form and shape how I play. But we're not comparing their numbers. We're not comparing what their outcomes will be. It's just a stylistic comparison.
All right. It's been an interesting year for Prithvi Shaw. So nice to see him start off the IPL at least with a half century. Got 2 last season, including 1 in the playoffs. So we'll see how Prithvi Shaw carries this forward. Let's talk a little bit about CSK's bowling. Sanjay, it's a point that even though we're just in the first week of the tournament, it's getting a bit tired. But you, once again, a fifth bowler, a lack of a sixth bowler is exposed and is a vulnerability for this side, don't you think?
Jadeja had conceded 36 in his 3 overs. 12 runs and over, and Dhoni had to give him the 4th. So that is where, he's got to start thinking whether he's taking too many risks and still has the confidence to win games, because against good teams, this will hurt. You can't have a bowler going for 12 runs and over, but you're still compelled to bowl him. So what's happening with Watson or Kedar Jadhav? If they're not going to bowl, I said at the start of the show as well, they need to play an extra bowler to sort of minimize the risk, because it's a tactic that has a few loopholes. Dhoni manages it, but can he do it every time, every game? The other thing with Jadeja also is that he's just got a couple of wickets in his 3 matches. So I can understand somebody going for runs. Kuldeep Yadav used to go for runs, but the wickets aren't coming to get his team back into the game. So they need a 6th bowler only because of the kind of 5 bowlers that they have.
The argument, Bish, is an interesting one. It could be twofold. One, do you not believe that you have 5 bowlers who can give you 4 overs, or do you believe you have a bowler like Jadeja who will give you 4 overs every game, but he just isn't getting it right? He's gone for 42 in the first game, got a couple of wickets, none for 40 in the second, and none for 44 today. What would you like to see MS Dhoni do here? Do you think he needs that 6th bowler? Does he believe, no, Jadeja is my bowler, he'll get it right sooner or later?
I can tell you what I think. I couldn't tell you what goes through the mind of MS Dhoni.
No,
I'm only teasing you, RK. Don't worry about that. I like that extra option, because the point is, as was made by my colleague, later, can you go through an entire tournament doing this? One of the better teams are going to pick you apart. So you've got to start. That's why I think tonight is a big game for the opening combination and what can happen with Murali Vijay. because going forward, you've got guys like Imran Tahir on the bench. Mitch Santner is a good cricketer.
Yeah.
How you can slot in another overseas player, I don't know. But you definitely have to look at your combinations
You can
and
have
see where you
Shardul
can get an
Thakur,
extra.
You can have Shardul
Correct.
Thakur come in and
Yeah.
replace
Yeah.
one of the foreign streamers and get somebody
Yes.
like Santner in. Those things can be done.
Yes.
But we also know
Yes.
that Dhoni doesn't like to tamper too much with his basic mold.
On the other hand, though, we have seen a vast improvement in Sam Curran, the bowler, 1 for 28, 1 for 27, and 3 for 33 so far in the tournament. He seems to be putting his hand up. Thoughts on that, Bish? You first.
I like the way that he's developing. It's another conversation that we're having as we watch the game as well. There's some spirit about him. He's short in stature. He's not the quickest guy around in terms of pace of bowling. And then his batting, I'm certain, will develop more and more as he goes through his career. So you're seeing a guy with character who wants the difficult overs as well and is showing enough control. So I like that selection. Just judging from the way he improved from the start of 2019 to the back end and how he started this year.
You think, Sanjay, that he's filling in for Dwayne Bravo, but now all of a sudden you'd ask the question, maybe is there room for both Bravo and Curran when Bravo's fit in this CSK 11?
Well, on current form, because I mentioned at the one of the earlier shows, stature doesn't matter so much as current form to win matches. And on current form, it's hard to drop Sam Curran. So if there is a straightaway swap between Bravo, they don't need to. But if that's the case, Sam Curran wins it on form, because this is a guy, when he played for England, I must confess, wasn't too impressed. Batting down the order, getting some runs, didn't look test class to me. But this IPL, he's been brilliant. Love his attitude, and this is a guy who's short, and one of his first overs he bowled a bouncer. So he's a guy who thinks a lot, and I think CSK are lucky that he's developing so well for them.
Same question to you, Bish. You saw a bit of Bravo bowling in the CPL at 36. Now is there room for both of them in the CSK team once Dwayne's back?
Do you have to play both of them though? Because a lot of the construct of IPL teams is being able to have a backup for almost every position for some of these big teams. So I'm not denying that you can play both of them, perhaps if you look at combinations, but it is a great problem to have of plenty again. Bravo was superb, I thought, in the CPL. Remember his performance last year as well. Bravo played some key innings with the bat. So knowing the little we know of Dhoni's a very loyal guy. So I don't know if he'll be willing to depart with one of his trusted soldiers.
Excellent. Right. Yeah, that is how Dhoni would think, Bish.
Yes,
but people like us would like to still come up with ideas as to how we can fit them both. If Watson, it doesn't really, find form, there's a place there to replace a foreign player with Bravo. Sorry, Ronak.
No problem, Sanjay. I tell you what, if we owned a franchise, we know where it would finish every season. But between you and Bish, you all have the money. Anyway, let's wrap it up before we go any further. The second innings already underway. It'd be very interesting to see how this chase goes. It should make for a thrilling post-match analysis with Ian Bishop and Sanjay Manjrekar. Do join us for that on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket Info T20 Timeout, powered by Dell.